So looking at the canal testing, let's go back to patient history. What in the patient history would lead you to go into cerebellar, deeper neurological top-down assessment? What would they tell you? Cerebellar, like, yeah, poor balance. Yeah, sorry. Yes, yeah, yep, exactly, right? So they start reporting balance. What questions do we want to ask, in their history or their daily habits or past concussions, car accidents, right? Even if it's like, yeah, but that was 10 years ago. Okay, great. Any symptoms? No, I think I'm okay, but yet I have all this left-sided tightness going on. Okay. What about in a workplace? What's something that can really throw off the visual, vestibular, spinal systems that they can do repeatedly all day? Screens. Something as simple as, I think I saw your client. Something as simple as doing this 10,000 times a day will cause all kinds of issues. See it all the time. And it's something, and they don't even realize it, but that's, you're over, basically the brain is paying attention to everything on the left. If the screen is on the left, the right side of the world just gets ignored. Okay, so we're creating overcharge, overuse, whatever you want to call it, on the left, inhibition, disuse, neglect on the right. Okay, and you can see that a lot with their movement patterns. They look, they go, I got pinchy left neck, my left low back, I get headaches, and then they can't turn their head to the right, and they can't rotate right. So all the global movement scan stuff is going to show up with right rotation potential problems. Okay, so those are things that will come up in the history as to why you're like, okay, we're moving from, we need to kind of hold off on the orthopedic testing. We need to look at over here in this whole neurological section. Okay, and then you just go through your algorithm, and then you'll get back over to the orthopedic side of things. Okay, so if we have a suspected, what are the clients going to report when it's a clear-cut mechanical vestibular problem, where there's a potential for a calcium carbonate crystal that might be kind of floating around in a canal?
Like I turn to one side and I get dizzy.
Dizziness, no.
No, room spinning. Sorry.
Room spinning. Okay, my world is spinning around. That's the number one thing that they're going to report. A loss of balance, and then it's going to be a combination of other things, because you can have a crystal issue, and it might be not the spinning around, but a lot of falls, a lot of balance, a lot of coordination problems that can also lead to a mechanical problem. But yeah, the number one thing is going to be like, I sit up and my world is spinning around and I'm going to vomit. Okay, because the fluid's moving around. You've got fluid moving around one direction, and you've got a crystal banging into those hairs going in the opposite direction. So you've got two pieces of information that are conflicting with one another, and the vestibular system isn't sending the right information to the brain. So one test to look at all three canals is going to be your Dix-Hall pike. So for the client, you're going to spin them around to the edge of the bed. No, legs this way. Okay. And you need them so that the head falls off, so we get it below that, around 45 degrees off to one side. Okay. And what we're looking for is the direction that the eyes are going. If there's a posterior canal, you're going to see an upward nystagmus, so it's going to roll up and back. If it's an anterior canal, it's going to be down. And if it's a horizontal canal, it's going to go to the side. And it usually will go in the direction. So if it's a left anterior or left posterior, the eyes are going to go up on that diagonal. Same thing as when we're doing the head flicks, it's going to go in that diagonal direction. If it's a right posterior, it's going to be this up and to the right. If it's a horizontal, it's going to flip to the right or left. And if the down, it's going to go down to the corners. Okay. So again, this is why we're looking at visual systems in the corners, as well as we're looking at our connectivity testing with the canals. So we need to look at the client the entire time. We need to make them feel safe, because this is going to light them up. Okay. And if they're a very symptomatic client, make sure you have a garbage pail close to you if they're sensitive to that. So I'm going to turn Alex's head 45 degrees. I'm going to support her. I'm going to look into her eyes. Okay. I'm going to stay here. Okay. Because the more support, the more contact I have with her body, the safer she's going to feel and let me do this. So Alex, we're going to drop backwards. Okay, I'm going to guide you down to a fall, okay, but not off the table. Okay. And we're not far back off enough the table, so we need to scooch back a little bit. Perfect. I'm going to do this again. Okay. So I will cup the back of the head. I will cradle around here, and I've got her nice and tight into my body. So I'm holding her here, and we're going to fall back 20 degrees. And they're going to want to close their eyes. Don't let them, because you need to see what direction the eyes are going if there is an issue. And wait, sometimes there can be a delay. So it might take up to 30 seconds before you start to see the nystagmus coming on.
I feel nauseous. I can't.
Okay. Okay, come on up. And give them a second to orient. Okay? Yeah. Okay. If they start to feel nauseous and we're not seeing any of that stuff, I would still look at, again, we want to stack testing because we're not using goggles, right? So you're going to stack up a lot of your canal, your bioelectrical connectivity testing, as well as your visual testing to see which side might be a little bit off. You okay?
Yep. Okay.
And then we'll check the other side. They might report saying, when I turn my head to the right, it makes me feel worse, okay? That's the side you're typically going to test and correct on, okay? Both falls, both rolls might make them feel bad, but it's usually going to be that more dominant side. But check both to see which one lights them up a little bit more, okay? So I'm going to turn 45 and support. We're going to look into each other's eyes, and we're going to hold. You okay on this side? Yeah.
The other side was worse.
Something like that. Okay. Come on up. Okay. So Alex reported left side felt worse. And we're going to do the posterior correction first. You okay?
Yeah, I get to see coming back up.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So it could be a blood pressure issue. It could be an anterior, like even with if it's a posterior canal. So most of the canal issues that you're going to incur, 80% is the posterior canal problem. Okay. This is where you're going to use the Dix Hallpike position, and then we're just going to position that back. That's the corrective for it. If it's a horizontal canal, you're just going to do a straight log roll. So we go down to one side, we keep the head neutral, we go flat back here, and then finish, head down, come back up. And then for an anterior canal, it's called a Yokovino maneuver, where we fall back, the head's around 45, keep them there, up, and then all the way flexion, and then all the way back up. Okay? So we're essentially just knowing the direction, the mechanics of the canals, we're just kind of moving with those. And if you didn't get the right one, go back, retest. And if it fixed it, there shouldn't be any symptoms. And if it didn't, try something else. Okay? Oh, you know what? It wasn't the right side. Maybe we got to do the left side. Okay? But it's more comfortable for the client if we can do this one time, rather than I'm going to do every single test on you and every single correction. Okay? So let's just say Alex is going to be the 80%. We're going to go back into our Dix Hallpike position. Okay? Okay?
Yep.
Look into their eyes. Fall down 20 degrees past parallel. Let me know when symptoms come on.
Sure, sir.
Okay? Let me know when they settle. Okay? So we're staying here until symptoms settle. Okay? We're kind of waiting for the crystal to stop moving around in the fluid and banging onto those hairs. So it's almost like, if you can picture it, the crystal in the left posterior canal, it's kind of hit the apex in the most bottom position. So it stopped moving. So it's not banging into those hairs anymore. Okay. Then we're going to come here. So we're kind of rolling it to the side a little bit. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of dizzy. We'll wait it out.
Is it actually positive? No.
What?
The test?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Good. And then we roll to the side. Okay. And I'm going to get you to roll right onto your side as well. There you go, just to make it more comfortable. Okay. Good. And then I'm going to get your legs off to the side, and we're going to roll up. Okay. Is he sitting back up again? Okay, wait for it. So always monitor. If you can touch skin, keep your hand on their skin, on their neck, to see if they are going into kind of a sympathetic response. They're going to get clammy. That's an indication where you hold them because they're probably going to faint. I haven't had it happen. I've had it happen with acupuncture. But this is where you're constantly talking to them and be like, how you feeling? Oh, feeling okay. I'm like, feeling a little clammy. And you can just lay them back down, right? So just lay them back down in the position that you finished in. Okay? You okay?
Yeah.